Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew, and today we have a pretty interesting video. I've been seeing lots of comments from the Army 17 Charlie video I've done with Alex and I, and kind of having some folks have some follow-up questions reference the Army ICTL test in order to go to do the 17 Charlie course. Now, the ICTL test stands for the Information Communication Technology Literacy test, which is ideally just a cognitive measure designed to mold off an ASVAB on your technical subtest. So in layman's terms, it's what do you know about cyber? What's your baseline? What are you looking into doing? So with this video, I thought what we could do is kind of spend some quick kind of tips and tricks and things that I've found so far, just with some basic Googling and my recommendations on how you can prepare to get this exam and test done and pass. Now, we do have a video sponsor for this video today, and that is Pocket Prep. So stay tuned and we'll go ahead and get started on how you can pass the ICTL exam. Thanks. Hey everybody, and welcome back. My name's Andrew, and as I mentioned before, so lots of hype and ask on referencing the ICTL practice exam for the 17 Charlie course and kind of what it's about. How do you prepare for it? How do you study? So in any good terms of when looking into something new that you're not aware of, what's the first thing I did? I went ahead and went to Google. And with Google, the way I found this was a quick Google search looking for the ICTL exam through the Army for 17 Charlie. And now, full transparency, I am a 170 Alpha, which is a cyber warfare officer. I did not have an ICTL test to get into my WOBIC or Warrant Officer Basic course. However, with the 17 Charlie course for my lower enlisted, if we remember talking to Alex, I believe E4s and below are not required to take this exam. But now if you're an E5 or higher, or if you're getting into the military trying to join, this exam can be a requirement in order to see if you can actually reach the scores or pass to get into the MOS. So first things first, as I mentioned, dropped into Google, tried to see what we could find. And right here, we actually see a 10-month ago post from our Reddit Army tab. And to be full transparent, Reddit actually can have some decent stuff on it. So I mean, like, never bash it to do some research and kind of jump in. So as I kind of read through this, Calm Tiger 4858 shout out for doing this post, by the way, a year ago. He took it, he passed, he only had 2 days to study, and referenced those 48 hours. He was also working, I worked for 20 at my unrelated job and had no prior experience in this field. Before you treat the test as a joke, let me be clear on some basics. So, Calm Tiger here is mentioning that he barely passed, and only with 48 hours prepping, he still probably had some challenges on trying to understand what some of these concepts were within cyber. Now, with him, he mentioned that there was 30 multiple choice questions, and you have 20 minutes to answer these. Now, I might be diving back into a recruiter conversation to see if any of this has changed, but this was the most up-to-date recent thing I could find referencing the ICTL exam. You cannot go back on previous questions once you've made your choice. And then you finish with 6+ minutes that I could have spent on the extra points. So pretty much he's saying make sure you're using the full time. And then don't panic. If you don't know the answer, if you have fundamental knowledge in studying, you should be able to pick out the clues for the right one. So 60 points is passing, and he passed with 69. And he is a layman. a lineman. So here's some basic concepts we went over of what he thinks would have been good to know. So what is IPv6? What is a core switch? New partitions in a Linux machine, command to trace an IP. Very straightforward questions, which with some basic Googling or basic strong fundamentals of understanding, you should be able to get these solutions, especially in a multiple choice framework time frame. As we're saying, this isn't a fill in the blank. This isn't a short answer. You're getting 4 choices when actually looking at all these questions, which is going to be huge. As he's mentioning here as well, let me be clear. Let me be clear. These are not all the questions, and he's not providing answers because that's not what we're trying to do. You need to do the homework and you need to do some research to figure out what's going on. Now, keep in mind, all because you don't score well on this exam doesn't mean you're not going to do well within the course. This is literally just to kind of gauge a baseline and see where some weaknesses are. So he also provides some other good resources here and some other links from posts that he was able to look at and find. We're just going to keep these here. I'm not going to go to every single one. And then here comes, I think, the real meat and potatoes of ways that you can prepare and study to pass this exam. So he drops in the great old OG Professor Messer, and this is going to give you a nice, strong fundamentals on security baselines. Another is AWS, what is SQL? And this can kind of go over some of the SQL questions, which is awesome. We have Networking for Dummies, which is amazing, probably solid PDF. Wouldn't be too hard of a short read. A Python tutorial with get some coffee and run through these two at least once. Yeah, Python is amazing. Linux Journey, great free tool, great thing that he referenced as well, and I've used that one as well. It's actually very, very good to use. Understanding the OSI model. That was a pretty strong one, basic foundation of understanding what the model does, what are the layers. Another video here explaining IPv6. He had at least 2 questions he's mentioning. Ooh, subnetting. I will say, and me and Alex talked about this, subnetting might sometimes put people really deep into the weeds of not understanding how and why it works if you're not familiar with it. But in all honesty, it's kind of just math. And you have to, once you understand how to read it, just like a foreign language or new coding language, it can kind of come into play a lot easier when you have to still need to do it. So as he's mentioning, good luck, but you need to study. So as we mentioned before, he prepped in 48 hours and was still able to pass with 9% over the needed score. So if you went ahead and studied for a solid 2 weeks, imagine the type of score you could probably get on that. And as I mentioned before at the beginning of the video, we did have a sponsor, which is Pocket Prep. And Pocket Prep is an amazing tool that you can also use to really hone in and tie in those fundamentals. And with Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming around, we will be doing an amazing drop for 25% off for anyone that's our followers within the Discord as well. So keep an eye out for that code before we drop it, because yeah, I've used Pocket Prep for all of my studies, and it's amazing fun on the go and on the web tool that you can use to pass and get that next certification and really hit and strive on those basic fundamentals. So everybody, this was my short, quick tutorial, quick run-through video on the Army ICTL test for 17 Charlies. Hopefully this helps. I'm going to drop all the resources that we talked about in the description below. And as always, we'll catch you on the next video.